new United Nations report is out, and it's even worse than previously thought. A new United Nations report paints a bleak picture. The commitment countries pledged to limit the climate crisis are nowhere near enough to stave off record high temperatures. Delaying change any further will make it impossible to reach desired temperature goals. The time for, quote, rapid and transformational change to limit global warming is now, the report says. The UN Environment Program 2019 Emissions Gap Report calls on countries to strengthen the commitments made in the 2015 Paris Agreement to stall climate change. Current measures will not keep global temperature increases within the 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius range. Quote, a safe level to which temperatures could rise and not cause devastation, though 1.5 degrees is preferable, according to the report issued Tuesday. I disagree with that. I don't think it's preferable. I think it's necessary to hit that 1.5 degrees Celsius. Greenhouse gases reached a record high in 2018 and show no sign of peaking. According to a World Meteorological Organization report Monday, carbon dioxide levels reached 407.8 parts per million, a unit used to measure the level of contaminant in the air. At the current rate, temperatures are expected to rise 3.2 degrees Celsius by 2100, the UNEP report states. Let me say that again. 3.2 degrees Celsius in 81 years. Most of us will be dead. The changes the UNEP suggests are extreme. To get Earth back on track to the 1.5 degree goal, countries must multiply their commitment level, or the level at which they pledge to reduce their emissions, 5 times the current rates outlined in the Paris Accords. That means global greenhouse gas emissions must fall at least 7.6% every year to remove 32 gigatons of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This is I don't know what adjective would describe this adequately. This is a catastrophe of epic proportions. This is a catastrophe that, for the most part, there's pretty much very few proposals that meet the needs and the goals for reaching that 1.5 degrees Celsius. I would put Bernie Sanders' proposal up there, number one. I think the Green New Deal is right there with it. Ocasio-Cortez's Green New Deal and Bernie's, kind of have slight differences, but for the most part, the same. Everything else that I have seen and read is completely inadequate and relies on this mythical public-private partnership that has worked out so well for the United Corporations of America over the years. Bill Clinton ushered in public-private partnerships. Then with the advent of social media, we have nonstop public-private partnerships with, the government and Facebook, the government and Amazon, the government and Twitter, the government and this tech company. Doing good all around the world, these public-private partnerships like that. The theft of all of your money to the top 1%. And frankly, Elizabeth Warren's climate crisis plan, Buttigieg, Biden, they're all kind of another degree of the same problem. It is a lot of public-private partnerships, a lot of reliance on businesses to be good global citizens and realize the crisis we're in. Whereas Bernie Sanders is doing what FDR did. He's saying, no, we're not waiting for the corporate Goliaths. We're not waiting for the corporate vultures to do the right thing. The government is going to step in and save the planet. It's not a choice. It's a necessity, right? It's a necessity to lower the global temperature, to drastically reduce carbon dioxide emissions. Not just carbon dioxide, but methane. As far as I know, only Bernie Sanders, Tulsi Gabbard, Elizabeth Warren has given lip service to it, but on her website, there's no call for a ban on fracking. You talk to Josh Fox, you talk to other environmental experts and advocates, you cannot put a real dent in the climate crisis without banning fracking. And this is why I say, some of you don't agree, but this is why I'm not fooling around this go around. I don't think we have the luxury of saying, you know what, our candidate, if it's not Bernie, to hell with it. I'd rather 4 more years of Trump. The worsening of the conditions to the point where the United Nations is saying, like right now, drastic change needs to be taken or we're screwed. It does coincide with Trump. It does coincide with the environmental axe saw machete he has taken between expanding fracking, expanding drilling, repealing clean water laws, increasing mining, trying to drill on Native American reservations. Donald Trump, elected for another 4 years, this is not an endorsement of Elizabeth Warren, for sure. Donald Trump, elected for another 4 years, you could forget about, arguments between the progressive left and the neoliberal center. Those arguments will cease to exist because the only argument is going to be, what are we going to do with all these climate refugees? Hoarding to safe ground, temporary safe ground. And what are we going to do to save the planet? You're going to have mass death. You're going to have mass refugees across the world. Mass flooding, drought in other areas. So, I'm pushing Bernie. I want Bernie to be the nominee, but if not, I don't personally think, looking at this, I don't know any objective person who's not running on just pure blinders that could say it's acceptable to give Donald Trump 4 more years in control of America's environment. Because America, you cannot put a serious dent in climate crisis and global warming and the carbon dioxide emissions without America, because the Pentagon is the biggest source of carbon dioxide and climate crisis on planet Earth is our Pentagon. Honestly, I think this is what makes Bernie's campaign and plan even stronger, because in the last few weeks, his campaign has really zeroed in and focused on his Green New Deal plan, specifically in Iowa. I mean, Iowa has been really, really hurt by the extreme weather of 2019. There's farmers and croppers that their whole crop is destroyed, but still, by the flooding. So that is a big, big issue in Iowa, and it's going to be a big issue in other places. And not only does the Green New Deal poll extremely high, even though the corporate media doesn't talk about it, but Bernie Sanders, go down the list. In a lot of these polls, he is trusted number 1 on healthcare. He is also trusted number 1 on climate change. So I think, obviously this is bigger than politics. The United Nations is saying if we don't act like this minute, we're screwed. But I think this gives him an opportunity to say, you wanna go with Biden, the middle ground on climate change? What is Joe Biden's signature plan on climate change? One of his top advisors made $1 million from a natural gas company. He's been doing fundraisers with natural gas executives. Joe Biden isn't going to do anything on climate change. For hell, Joe Biden can't even remember President Obama's name. I just retweeted a clip. He forgot Stacey Abrams' name in a speech yesterday. This is the man who's going to save the planet? Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.